about this particular matchup is how many strategies can you pull out to really try to capitalize on the weaknesses of your opponent.
Yeah, it's a very rotation-heavy map. You know, I've always favored the 1-4 rotation strategy on this map, but you can get away with a couple of different ways to do it. But I would say that's probably the most common. Is you put your solo laner in top, your Zagara, your Dahaka, you know, whatever solo laner you want to pick. You pick that strong 4-man rotation with CC. Try to get picks in the wave clear early. And if you can do that, you can usually get a good early advantage on Dragonshire and be well on your way to a W.
Absolutely. And this is the map that 2+2 played against Team Sinix earlier and won. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of a change in game plan. One thing that I like that Team Sinix pulls out occasionally on this map is Rexxar as the top laner. And it's really strong in a counter against heroes like Sonya as a top laner. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see if Dahaka or Sonya are picked up by the side of 2+2, that Team Sinix would come up with some sort of a Rexxar pick, or perhaps even something crazier, like maybe an Abathur. I don't know. Things can happen.
Yeah, right away coming out with the Ario pick here is Team Sinix. So they've liked playing that today. They want to stick with it as they go against our reigning champions here in ESM 2+2. Like you said, these teams know each other really well, so you expect to not necessarily have the most meta of you know, draft priority. And right away we see the Genji and Uther coming out from the side of 2+2. We've seen that work out really well for them today. They don't always even go with the Dragon Blade. I think earlier it was 2+2 we saw pulling out an X Strike.
Yeah, and that the X Strike really comes down to the fact that you're able to get more AoE damage out in a burst fashion. Dragon Blade does take a few seconds to really pour that damage on, and that's what Ariel counters. But ultimately, with X Strike, if you're able to isolate 1 or 2 targets, especially up near the walls, it really does do quite a bit more damage than Dragon Blade does. So it's a little bit more skill-based, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Dragon Blade against the Ariel Stukov combo.
Yeah, that is sustained healing for days between Ariel and Stukov, and in an AoE fashion, no less. So, still got to see who that hyper carry is going to be for the side of Team Sinix. Not to mention who we're going to see in the solo lane for them. Slight draft advantage as we go to the later part of this draft for 2+2. If they want, they can save that solo laner for their last pick, and they can possibly get an advantage in that solo lane by just simply seeing what Team Sinix is going to pick first.
Absolutely, I wouldn't be surprised to see that being the game plan. With Genji and Uther on your team, that's just a strong healer and a strong poke damage dealer. And as well as some resets as well that can really turn a team fight. So I would not be surprised to see them play off of that and just try to counter pick Team Sinix at this point. Now, I'm a hopeful fan of this game when I say I want to see Rexxar, but I do honestly believe that for Team 2+2, it could be a good choice here. They need to pick up their main tank, they need to pick up a second damage dealer, and that last spot for their solo laner is wide open, and Rexxar fits into this particular setup.
Yeah, Rexxar are a constant terror on this map, being able to both soak in lane and still send Misha to be able to control the point in that top lane. We'll have to see how this ends up. Yeah, Zol coming out here. So focusing on that 4-man rotation, they've got incredible amounts of lockdown to try and give Genji that reset as they're rotating from mid to bot. Not to mention probably the best wave clear hero in the game in Zol. Not just because of how he clears the wave, but how he turns that minion set into his own and sends it into the opposing team's walls to really drain that ammo effectively.
Absolutely. It's definitely going to be a rotation between the 4 selected on the side of 2+2 already, and it's going to be their solo laner that's going to be the final pickup. Now, Nubrak, I'm surprised he made it this far into the draft. Higher prioritization on Johanna, which I know Team Sinix does have a plan going into this matchup that Johanna allows for. I don't want to give too much away, but it's something that is very difficult to play against when executed appropriately. So they really do need to prioritize that solo laner a little bit higher right now and try to get a solid counter to the last 2 picks of Team Sinix. And Zul is just going to do so much in that 4-man rotation.
Illidan Lunara, very interesting. So Lunara probably could end up being their solo laner, except for the fact that Lunara is going to be the main hope generator. So that probably leaves Illidan in the solo lane.
That's definitely Illidan solo lane with Hunt. That is for sure Hunt. Now, I want to highlight Team Sinix. They have a comp that really is based around execution here. Lunara needs to get a lot of damage out. Johanna needs to be able to body out Zul and Genji, and Stukov needs to be able to keep Uther suppressed. Beyond that, Illidan's able to hunt in and free roam. So as long as those assignments aren't missed, or any variation of those assignments aren't missed, we can really see a huge death ball on the side of Team Sinix. That being said, there's a lot of defensive tools on the side of 2+2, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a really strong solo laner up in the top lane, maybe even a Sonya here, who is a really good counter to Illidan just because she matches him so evenly in those lanes.
Zagara? Okay, no, it is going to be Sonya. Not going with the weird pick like I had hoped for, but instead completing with another frontliner. Really kind of an all melee comp here for 2+2. You know, Genji will stay out on the fringe until the time is right, but at the end of the day, all the side of 2+2 wants to be in your face when it comes down to the team fighting. And they've got good dive potential to get after the Stukov, which I think is going to maybe be the main key factor here when we get down to 5v5 team fighting later on.
No, I see these team fights going in one particular way. It's going to be a hard engagement by 2+2 trying to get a pick, while and this is going to be, I think, the only way Team Sinix really wins those 5v5 team fights is you get those that run up where you've got Sonya, Azul, Genji, Nubrak all trying to get into the front line here, getting past Johanna. The Lunara is going to slow them down, get them to where they're drained a little bit on health. Uther's going to be really having a hard time being able to heal through that. And then that's when you're going to see the big turnaround. You're going to get all of that lockdown, all that CC that Team Sinix has on their comp, and get a blow up or even some sort of a drawn out pursue from Moreno on the Illidan.
All right. Well, we are loaded in here to Dragonshire. This is going to be our championship match, so let's get all that updated as well. We are in our finals best of 3. On the left, your blue team is 2+2. It's going to be McNulty playing the Sonya. Hollis on the Anubarak. Masahiro is going to be playing the Genji once again. Rator on the Uther, and Axon going to be playing the Zul.
And in the red trunks, we have Ariel being manhandled by Caleb Reese, as always. Vereno, once again on those melee heroes. Illidan being at his disposal. Johanna being main tanked by Zainhide once again. Stukov being played by Xander. And Valimar, as always, on those ranged carries, and that's Lunara.
So right away, we see the wave clear potential for 2+2. And they are instantly going to rotate to bot as soon as that wave is down. Back to mid they go as Xander trying to stop this wave from just coming in and getting started on the wall. And so a little bit of a split rotation here for Sinix. They realize that they can't keep up in the wave clear department, especially in this early game. So they are going to go ahead and just focus on staying out in the lanes and making sure this Zol pick doesn't get too much value.
Absolutely, and this is really going to be a war of attrition for Team Sinix. They need to not lose the early game to that XP soaking disadvantage that they're going to have, because 2+2 does have so much more wave clear, and they're so much faster on the rotations this early game with the additive of Zul, that they really need to just prioritize staying in the fights and keeping themselves in the lane, staying safe, and then post 10 is where they're able to take their fights and really gain a heavy advantage.
Axon getting poked pretty low here. But we do see HotS coming back in for the peel. And Masahiro going to keep the side of Team Sinix honest, forcing them to rotate in here. But HotS in a little bit too far, ends up going down here. Now that's going to be first blood going over to Team Sinix, winning the war of attrition to start.
Absolutely. That's the Lunara for you. You know, she's just going to chase you. She's going to poke you in the butt with her spears, and that's what she's going to have fun doing. That's her. Axon and Masahiro also taking a ton of damage from that Lunara. Go to this of Team Sinix.
Seems like we might be having a little bit of mic issues here for you, Rory, but you got a cat in the back of your computer playing with the plug-in or something?
Oh, how's that? Is that better?
That's 100% better. There we go.
Excellent.
So we do see that right away, Team Sinix picking up the Dragon Knight here. Very nice rotations by them, able to get the top shrine there. Illidan versus Sonya. That's a pretty hard matchup for the Illidan to end up coming out on top on, but they do a nice job of zoning there in the mid with that sustained damage from Lunara. And now they're instantly rotating to the bot, getting a huge advantage here. They're going to end up, they should end up at least getting this well. Minions look like they're going to go ahead and rotate in and grab that, and that's going to give them an advantage here in the bot lane moving forward.
Now, I do want to just point out that in the mid lane, during my mic problems, Axon on the Zul was poisoned up so heavily by that Lunara that he stood behind the wall and died so slowly that it was almost painful to watch. And that's right there is one of the most satisfying things to watch on Lunara, is to have that vision on your enemy dying over the wall and you're just smiling to yourself. And ultimately, that along with a couple of other key plays has led to an early 7 advantage for Team Sinix.
Yeah, in a world where you would expect the side of 2+2 to be gaining advantage, gonna be rough for them to try to come back in this one with this early team comp that they've got rolling when they're being out rotated and out pushed here by Team Sinix in these first few moments, when they're only going to get stronger the later this comp goes.
Absolutely. And that just comes from playtime together. They understand the limitations of their comp, and this is a comp that they're very used to running, heroes that they're very comfortable on. And so when you got that kind of a setup on this particular map where it's so rotation heavy, you're going to find advantages. You're going to find ways to be able to isolate targets, and ultimately it leads to that early advantage in this game where Zul should really be out soaking them.
Stun coming down onto the Lunara, but the poke is real. Valimar turning around off of that stun and just poking everybody low. Gonna end up getting the kill on a Nuvarak. The root coming out from Axon, trying to slow the advance of Valimar, but nothing doing. There's gonna be another pick going down, and Uther maybe gonna get the heal. There it is. You get the heal out to just barely be able to save him, but the poison is real. Is the poison gonna get renewed? It doesn't look like it. I think they're both gonna somehow make it out with their lives there, but still a 2-for-0 exchange. They're gonna get this bottom fort. They're gonna get level 10 in short order here. They're even looking to pick up a Dragon Knight Zainhide with an insane rotation to force Masahiro to dash to interrupt, but level 10 is here. The detainment strike is good from Caleb Reese, and they're going to turn around and get the Dragon Knight off of that. And level 10 is here, and everything in this match so far coming up Team Sinix.
Yeah, Caleb's pretty good with whips. I've talked to his wife before. So definitely landing a solid one there.
All right, well, right away we see Zainhide taking this on into the top, and I'm confused. Rock Modern Life has officially confused me with that whisper, but that's okay. They're getting the front wall here. They still have the level 10 advantage, still half a level away. Sonya trying to soak it a little bit in the top, but realizing they may be losing a keep here. Maybe rotating down, maybe just rotating to the mid to get that secondary soak. But a wise disengagement here from Team Sinix. They get that front wall. Be a little bit greedy to go after anything else this early in the game.
Yeah, definitely a smart rotation here. They know the power of their comp. They know how it works, and ultimately with that 10 advantage, how to be able to exercise it the best. McNulty getting a ton of damage though down onto the Dragon Knight, but he's gonna get caught out. That silence being zoning in the back, but Genji's gonna try to come in and interrupt. McNulty staying alive by spinning to win. And ultimately, a huge engagement by McNulty onto Xander, but it's going to get him caught out. He's trying to win with that spinning, but it's not going to be quite enough. That poke from Lunara and the engagement by Illidan, just way too much to handle.
Hey, I had forgotten there was an Illidan in this match, but it's nice to see Vereno come down and visit the stream coming out of that solo lane and top. Done a nice job chipping that down. The invade on here by Team Sinix, and they are going even further in. Level 10 is here. Axon throwing down those skeletal mages, but with Sonya down, this turn is a little bit risky. HotS comes in, is getting poked down though by that Lunara. The web wrap comes down. It'll also be taken down by Reese. No kills so far, but the leap from McNulty is going to secure them the Johanna kill. But so many members low here for the side of 2+2. They're going to have to back up, but Veleno not going to let him go for free.
Oh yeah, Vereno's out for blood. He wants this map done. He wants to be able to get that early advantage and get into that next game where they know that they've got all the time to win this. They want this series. So this is definitely a strong engagement for them. Johanna falling, but death timers are short. She's going to be up pretty shortly, and she's still got Blessed Shield in her repertoire. The only real heroic down for the side of Team Sinix is Metamorphosis, which was used to great effect. Although, on the other side, Cocoon coming up pretty shortly. Skeletal Mage is coming up pretty shortly as well. Leap up in 20 seconds. Only really one that you need to wait for is going to be that Dragon Blade by Genji.
Yeah, level 13 talent tier here for Team Sinix. They do have the advantage coming into this Shrine phase, and they know it. They are going to rotate in here. They bully 2+2 out of this bottom Shrine area. They're going to end up getting that. Meanwhile, both of our solo laners / junglers are grabbing their respective hard camps in the top. And in short order, I imagine we will see the rotation to the top. But smart rotation here by Team Sinix. They know they don't have to worry about the invade. They know that the side of 2+2 are not going to be looking to try and steal this bottom Shrine anytime soon. So they're going to go ahead and stack up both of those camps in the bottom lane. Give them something to have to clear out.
Absolutely. And that race to 13, when you're on the side of 2+2, when you've got Sonya on your team, when you've got Genji on your team against an Ariel, you want to get 13 first, because that added blinds into this particular comp are really difficult to be able to handle. That 2.25 second blind is just a lot to be able to work against when you're running just that amount of auto attack damage. So ultimately, this is a really huge advantage on the side of Team Sinix, and adding in that giant killer when you're up against the Sonya and Anubarak. That spell damage from the Nerubian armor from Anubarak gets taken out with the poisons. That's a long time to be down that spell armor, and it's just a lot of damage that's going to be added in here in the repertoire of Team Sinix. And so ultimately, look for them to try to take an engagement before 13s are taken on the side of 2+2.
Yeah, and they have baited them in a little bit here. Right now, the bottom Shrine is owned by 2+2, but looks like right now, Team Sinix is mostly looking to try and catch somebody out, and they may get Masahiro, but he is able to dash out just in time. They'll get a little bit of damage on the fort, but they're not going to find anybody here. Meanwhile, both teams rotating out, going to trade these Shrines top and bottom, and level 16 is right around the corner here for Team Sinix. They know they do not have to rush here.
Oh, absolutely. This is not a fight that they need to take. They can get 16s, and they can get that advantage. This is I don't think I really like them going aggressive for this camp. They don't need to do anything here aside from play safe and get 16s first. And by the way, D-Rick, I'm not throwing shade, man. This is my team. I'm the team manager for Team Sinix, so this is my group that I get to talk this. I get to talk this way about. So, huge engagement down on the Caleb, though, and it's not going to amount to much. Anubarak just way caught out. Moreno's going to have to back off as well, taking a little bit too much damage. That D-shield coming out, barely going to save Anubarak, and Moreno's going to barely escape with his life as well. But Zaynhide, up in the thick of things, is going to pop his Unstoppable and get behind the walls just barely.
And Masahiro making sure that Illidan didn't quite make it out of there. But Xander going to go ahead and zone with that lurking arm. They are slowly pushing him back here. The leaping strike right in the middle of 4 members. Maybe not the most advisable move there from the Lunara, and all of a sudden that's going to turn into a 2-for-0 exchange. They're going to be able to grab these shrines back. Not only prevent the Dragon Knight from being captured, but if they play this right, they could end up with a Dragon Knight of their own if they're able to take these beacons back. But smart rotation here by Sinix off of those two deaths. They did get many members of 2+2 low, so knowing they can rotate out, get the shrines, and then come back with 16 to fight here.
Absolutely, this is a full reset here for Team Sinix. They need to just back up, get full mana, get full health, get ready for the next engagement because they still have 16s. This is going to be a fight, so they need to be prepared for the fight. They need a little bit more isolation on that Sonya. She's getting a little too deep because she enables Genji to get deep as well, and that's where you really start having those problems. That's where Illidan went down before, and that's ultimately where Lunara felt like she could get in there and just couldn't quite get in there. So ultimately, this is Team Sinix's fight to lose pre-16 for 2+2.
Johanna rotating to the bottom. Zaynheim going to grab that shrine. Vereno also very smart rotations here. They're only rotating out one at a time, so they're never being caught out. Never a potential for them being caught out too far alone or being outnumbered too much. And meanwhile, the Zul on the rotation to the bottom, Axon should be able to grab that before the Dragon Knight becomes a factor. Absolutely,
and it's always the members of Team Sinix that have some sort of escape, that have that ability to get out, that are rotating, and that's that again just comes from a little bit more know-how of the game and realizing the strengths and weaknesses of your team.
But I will say that the side of 2+2 is doing a very nice job of stalling this out. They still got about half a level until they reach that level 16. So right now they are rotating around, capturing these shrines often enough to be able to block. And with a couple more waves here, they will have it. They actually charge in on Vereno. He's able to sweep away and get away from that. They are going to toss the web wrap on him to try to disengage, but it's not going to be that easy. With the leaping strikes, the D-Shield having to come out to save the Anubarak, and that's going to be a Dragon Knight going over to the side of Team Sinix, along with a couple of those really big cooldowns being essentially wasted for the side of 2+2.
Yeah, just a huge collapse on the side of Team Sinix, and definitely a good amount of knowledge, knowing where your team's at and where you're able to take those engagements. Vereno turned around almost immediately as soon as the rest of Team Sinix was inside that Bermuda Triangle area of bushes, and so a lot of really solid communication that we didn't quite see from the last game from them. Even though they did win it, it was a little bit harder on the communication front.
Well, they are pushing towards this bottom keep. They are doing what they can to try and capture this. Sonya getting caught out in that lurking arm, silenced, and just a impressive collapse there again from Team Sinix. They're going to get this bottom keep. The question is, what else can they get? They are going to go ahead and back up. The camp in the top takes the bottom fort. Not that that's a really huge deal. They'll rotate and they'll go ahead and get in this mid fort. Start to work on that XP towards 20.
Yeah, it's definitely a fight that 2+2 can still take, with 16 talents having been picked up by them. D-Shield's up in 10 seconds, Cocoon's available, and Dragon Blade's available. So this is a fight they could technically take, albeit not a very smart one, but definitely one that could net them a kill or two. So that's why Team Sinix backed up. They understood the the timers on those ults, and ultimately it looks like we're going to have this fight now. But Hala's taking just a ton of damage. Cocoon going down as well. But it's going to ultimately net nothing, really, as Masahiro's coming in with that Dragon Blade. Redder in the back is going to throw down a stun onto Redder, but Reno's just going in. Masahiro falling, as well as the Uther Redder. And that's going to be a full 5-0. Just a massive, massive wipe. And this is going to be game. This is ultimately game. There's nothing that 2+2 could do at this point.
Yeah, the turn is real. The 5-0 wipe also real. Metamorphosis coming out as if it wasn't scary enough already, having Illidan on your core. And that is going to be it. Game 1 going over to Team Sinix as they get revenge here on Dragonshire from that round 2 loss They go up 1-0 in this best-of-3 series.
Absolutely. And that was, I think, really what kind of determined the outcome of that fight is 2+2 went in knowing they had 2-3 ults available at most. They ended up popping all 3 of them, which was great, Dragon Blade, Cocoon, and D-Shield. The problem is that there was so much solid communication between Team Sinix about knowing what was available at the time, not only heroics, but condemn, things like, the evasion from Illidan, knowing when they could go in. Ultimately, they were able to turn that fight around just based upon that kind of communication. And you could tell that was the communication made because when they engaged, they backed off, came back in as soon as those abilities were popped, as soon as those ults came out. And so really that turned the fight around into a full wipe just based upon that communication.
Yeah, just a solid overall game by Team Sinix. I was really worried about the lack of wave clear in the early game, but they did a really good job of just waiting until they had the opportunity to take the advantages that their comp had. And the side of 2+2, they had a lot of lockdown, but they never really found very many opportunities to get someone isolated, to get them locked down and killed. Team Sinix either played very safe when they were in the solo, or they ran together as 4 or 5. So they just did a really nice job of not playing into the comp and what 2+2 was trying to do, sticking to their own strategy and executing it really well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I do want to just highlight that Zul did do quite a bit of work being able to help push those lanes out, and that's what kept them in the fight so long. That's 2+2. So Axon definitely did a very, very solid job. The only problem, really, is that there was so much coordination between the ults and the abilities on the side of Team Sinix that it was really hard to counter. And as I said, going into the game in the first place, it's really going to come down to execution. How well do Team Sinix play in this particular matchup? Because I do still feel like they could have lost that draft early game if they didn't counter that Zul appropriately, which they did to great effect.
I know you guys love me so much that you won't mind me eating a little bit of trail mix while we're in between games. But yeah, that's going to be game 1. I'm going over to Team Sinix, who is going to have the opportunity to pick their map here in the second one. It is going to get first pick, first ban over to 2+2. So we'll see if they can even out the series here.
Now, I do believe that it was Team Sinix's map pick. Is that correct? Or no, because they picked Ariel first, I believe.
Right.
So it was that was 2+2's map pick. So at this point, we're going to be going into Team Sinix's map pick. So definitely, when you beat a team on their map pick, it's so demoralizing because now you're on your turf. You're on your home turf, and you know exactly what your game plan is. You pick a map for a reason because you have a plan. And so you're going into this map knowing you're 1-up. This is definitely a strong position for Team Sinix to take a 2-0. Now, being that these teams play each other so much, they've played a lot of the maps that, they favor. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see 2+2 already having a strategy in mind to be able to counter out what Team Sinix likes to do on this next map. But ultimately, it's, again, going to come down to just knowing what you're going to do and execution and that proper communication.
All right, so it is going to be Infernal Shrines is going to be our second map here. I'm going to go ahead and get our teams on into the lobby. We'll have this one coming up for you in short order. So we've seen Infernal Shrines a lot today. Definitely one of the most popular maps in Heroes of the Storm. Okay, looks like they want this on the central server.
Yeah, wanting to make it fair for everybody in terms of ping. I get it.
All right, well, then let's go ahead and just kick everybody out then. And we'll leave. And we'll remake it. We'll remake this puppy in the central server. There we go. How do they know? How do they even know? No.
Yeah, some of that skill shot latency it's brutal.
Yeah, when you come down to competitive, when you come down to really, competitive matches like this in the 5v5, team fighting scenarios, it definitely is noticeable.
Most definitely. And this is, again, just kind of, highlight the amount of skill on either of these teams where that kind of small disadvantage can become game breaking for them. So ultimately, these teams, they understand the way each other works and ultimately how to play the game against each other. So both teams trying to gain just some sort of a, I guess, an even playing field here with that region change.
So we'll have to see what these teams want to strategize for here. Wave clear always really a premium here on Infernal Shrine. It's a premium pretty much on any map in the game, but being able to clear these shrines out quickly is definitely something you want to keep an eye out for.
Absolutely, and I know Team Sinix likes to play this particular map in a certain way that highlights being able to play other than just having the shrine be your primary focus. And so ultimately, I think that these teams, being that they've played so well against each other on this map already, I think we're going to see maybe a couple of little oddball or curveball kind of plays. I wouldn't be surprised to see that kind of, just something different thrown into the draft to try to throw the other team off, make a bad decision.
All right, there we go. Looks like we got both of our teams filing on in to the lobby. Should have this one ready for you guys in just a moment. All right, and we are ready to go. Forget that moment. We're going to be going right now. Team Sinix up 1-0 over 2+2. 2+2
so many numbers.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of numbers.
I was never good at math.
2+2 was first in the standings with 3 points. It made me look really good at math there for a moment when I looked at that.
2+2 is 3.
Yeah. It's because they're first, so I added that back in.
my 6-year-old son just corrected me. Apparently, 2+2 is 4.
Nice. Well, at least he knows.
At least he knows.
Yeah, he can have my job after this is over. All right, so we do see Tassadar and Ariel being banned here. So right away, both teams focusing on negating some of the sustained healing options here for Infernal Shrines, and Uther coming in. So an interesting pickup here by 2+2. Uther usually foreshadowing the fact that a team is going to want to end things early rather than going for the sustained fights.
No, absolutely, and this is something that I think 2+2 really plays well, is that kind of lockdown, that engagement where you blow up a target. Their ability to isolate one target and focus is incredible, and that I believe that just kind of comes down to McNulty, their shot caller, who is just so clear in his communication and really highlights in that role. And so it's definitely going to be more of a sustained fight on the side of Team Sinix, just trying to counter that particular style of play.
So yet again, we see the Stukov coming out here. Team Sinix. We've been seeing a lot of Stukov, and I really like him on Infernal Shrines. There's a lot of tight corridor areas that you can put down that lurking arm. It's good solid area denial, which is really a big deal on this stream. I mean, on this map. And Johanna also very good at the sustain. So right away they see Uther coming out, and they want to take advantage of that by winning the sustained game. So they pick up a really good tank and healer for that strategy.
Absolutely, and I just want to highlight that Stukov on those tight choke points is so brutal to play against. Those silences can be just detrimental to your comp. And with Uther being a melee-oriented healer, it really becomes hard for him to gain any sort of value. But we come out with a Stitches counter, which with a good hook can ruin Stukov's day, especially comboed with that quick E from Kel'Thas. So definitely two solid counter picks for that Stukov.
Yeah, this is going to be the first time I think we're seeing Stitches all day. It's been kind of a constant ban out from many teams, including Team Sinix. So they let it go through this time. And so now they've got also 2 solid follow-up heroes for those Stitches hooks. You got the Gravity Lapse and the stun coming in from Uther as well. And good solid AoE damage as well. Kael'thas, great at wave clear, great at clearing these shrines. I like 2+2's draft on this one a lot more than I did in the first game.
Absolutely. They definitely have a higher priority on being able to get that blow-up damage and the stuns out as well. And so that amount of CC can be really difficult to play against. So it's going to rely a lot on Johanna being able to be in a good position and then utilizing her trait well. I wouldn't be surprised if we were to see something like a Brightwing come out on this map, because Stukov does not have that ability to cleanse. And so having that cleanse is going to be a really nice tool to be able to add into the repertoire onto Team Sinix.
The Haka coming out as the ban here for the side of Team Sinix. So trying to deny that global ability and that solo laner. And the Respect ban coming out, the Lunara, something a 2+2 does not want to have to deal with a second time.
Yeah, I like how both of these teams are kind of approaching this particular series. You know, with the HGC Open coming up pretty shortly, it's going to be a kind of situation where these teams meet each other again tomorrow, in fact. And so I like that both of these teams are kind of coming in with things that are maybe a little out of the ordinary and trying new things, seeing what works, and they're utilizing this tournament, on this beautiful Sunday in Oregon, to be able to just experiment is, I guess, the best word for it.
Yeah, fortunately, they are not the only ones warming up for the HGC tomorrow. I also will be casting for HGC if anybody wants to come tune into that tomorrow night. But Medivh, Leoric, very interesting.
I like it. I like it because it means that either they stick with the solo tank Stitches, which leaves KT susceptible to flanks, which Medivh just highly prioritizes, or they grab a second tank, which means Leoric's going to get even more value. Ultimately, I think it's going to kind of come down to proper rotation and placement of the portals to gain a lot of value, but it's also going to allow for a lot of escape and sustain against that Stitches KT combo.
Yeah, still looking to see what their hyper carry is going to be. The one advantage I think for Team Sinix here is that they're going to be able to see the entire comp of 2+2 before they decide what they want that hyper carry to be. It's not going to be something that can be easily countered for them. The question is, what else do they want to go with this? They need a solo laner. They probably could use another frontliner. So they are going to go with the Ragnaros, and Vala is going to be another backline damage dealer for them. I would say the solo laner probably ends up being the Ragnaros. So it's going to be all about hooking that Stitches in, locking him down, and using that Vala KT damage to try and blow somebody up.
Well, let's see what ultimately Team Sinix can bring to the table to really pour that damage on, because with 3 high damage dealers like Ragvala and KT, they are squishy, so it could be dangerous, but they also do a lot of damage. So if you come in on them and they're ready, you're gonna get deleted.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to come down to these force of wills from the Medivh player. If you can negate a lot of that damage from the triple assassin on the other side, you can turn these fights. But it really does play into the Uther Stitches comp here. 2+2 wants these team fights, the main part of these team fights, to only last for a few seconds. If it lasts more than that, they are at a severe disadvantage against the sustain healing from Stukov, the double tank on the other side with the Medivh, and the solo damage Zul'jin will wear your team down if you give them the chance.
Well, you know, I like the fact that they're so invested heavily into Zul'jin. Zul'jin definitely did work for them in the last time that they were on this particular map. and I enjoy being able to see him played to really solid effect. I'm going to highlight, though, that it's uh, not going to be accented by the Ariel or the Rhaegar, so it's not going to have those ults that really, save Zul'jin. So it's going to rely a little bit more heavily on Medivh being able to get those shields out appropriately, good portal placement, and Leoric and Johanna being able to get as much just bullying up at the front line as possible.
I don't know. Later game, it kind of feels like Stukov with that bio kill switch gets kind of like, can get up to 5 Ancestrals hitting it once every 15 seconds. So,
yeah, it's definitely a little brutal, and that's something that I really enjoy seeing him be able to do in these kinds of setups where he's a single healer, is really thrive under that circumstance.
All right, so here we are, loaded into Infernal Shrines. It is going to be on your left, 2+2, down 1 game here so far in this best-of-3 series. McNulty going to be playing the Ragnaros. Masahiro on the Vala. Axon going to be playing Kael'thas. Raider is going to be playing the Uther, and HotS going to be playing Stitches.
And in the red trunks, we have Caleb Reese always on those supports playing Stukov. Medivh being played by Valimar. Zainhide once again on the Johanna like he has been all day long. Breno playing the Leoric. And then Zul'jin's being handled by Xander.
And we see the side of Team Sinix going ahead and getting in the way of these minions, trying to get the waves to come over to their side a little bit, help them with this wave clear. Right away we see strong wave clear potential. Oh, but the hook coming into Caleb Reese. He's going to take that portal out. He just barely is able to escape. And Masahiro still on the chase. Actually going to be rotated on here. Got to be careful on the Vala. And wow, the ham here from Masahiro trying to punish Zainhide. The portal comes in, Valimar, and already these guys are just going deep here.
Just a massive amount of damage coming up from that KT too, but a little bit too much, a little bit, as you said, too much ham in their diet. It's going to result in no death on the side of Team Sinix, surviving with just 62 HP, but 2 deaths on the side of 2+2. So an early XP advantage for the side of Team Sinix, and they're already clearing those lanes really quickly. It's the power of Johanna and Medivh together. Is just that much lane clear is just brutal to play against early game.
And right away we see both teams rotating, trying to get that soak. But like you said, after those couple of picks, a little bit superior rotation response here from Team Sinix. They've got about a half-level lead. They're definitely going to win the race to 4. And in that top lane, the Shrine has spawned. Neither team really prioritizing it here. Level 4 has been picked up by Team Sinix. But 2+2 won't be too far behind. They're going to have level 4 real quick here, and they are going to be able to contest the Shrine if that is how they want to do this. Oh, but the pick on Ragnaros, the portal in from Team Sinix. They get that pick, and all of a sudden, I might be wrong. They might not really be able to contest this anytime in the near future.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too much damage. That amount of damage coming from both Zul'jin and Leoric, the W build coming out for Leoric is just brutal to play against, and it's ultimately going to net them another kill onto Ragnaros. And we've got 2+2 kind of moving in, getting a good hook onto Breno, but that's not a target you really want to land with those hooks. You want to be able to see Valimar on the Medivh or even Caleb on the Stukov dehooked, but I like this. They're getting aggressive onto the Shrine, trying to get some of these minions cleared up. Only 18 so far picked up, but you got to think that's a lot of damage coming out on that Red or on Uther, and then HotS needs to back up on that Stitches, and they still have well taps up on the top lane.
Yeah, they even popped the Molten Core there from the Ragnaros, trying to clean up a little bit of that, but they don't really get all that much advantage out of it. Force of Will coming out to save Leoric there from all the damage from Axon and Masahiro. But they're going to go ahead and split off here. Ragnaros very good at double soaking these lanes here on Infernal Shrines, so he's going to be able to do that pretty well. But Leoric also pretty solid at the double soak game, so it's going to be a 4v4 here in the bot lane with this Mortar Punisher pushing into the top for Team Sinix.
Absolutely. Now, we did have vigorous reuptake taken by Stukov, so that's just going to add to that a massive amount of healing that can be put out almost immediately. You know, those pseudo ancestrals almost that late in the game is just going to be huge to be able to survive all this burst from the KT, the Ragnaros, and the Vala, and ultimately, it's just going to be, I think, a little bit too much late game. So in order for 2+2 to really come back in this, they need to figure something out in terms of their rotations, get some sort of an XP lead back, and try to hit 13 before the side of Team Sinix does, because that's where that type of damage from Zul'jin really becomes brutal to play against.
Yeah, right now 2+2 having quite a lot of trouble getting the finishing blows. You know, they have a lot of damage. They've been able to poke them low quite a lot. But between the Force of Will from Medivh and the sustained healing from the Stukov, they've been having a really hard time getting that final killing blow on anyone. Strong rotation in here by 2+2 though. They catch the side of Team Sinix trying to capture that camp, but Ragnaros ends up going down here. Yet again, you know, the portal play coming out from Valimar, and they are rotating around and doing a nice job of taking those advantages when they have the numbers, and they end up with the positional advantages.
Absolutely. Now, I do want to just note that we did get Master's Touch taken by Medivh. He's at 4 stacks already, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him rotating with the team a little bit more, trying to get those stacks up, and really trying to finish that before 10s are hit. I don't think it'll hit before 10s, but you mean you could always try.
So we do see the Shrine coming up in the mid. A favorable spawn here for the side of 2+2, as they have a little bit of well, actually, you know, they really don't have that much damage now that I look at it. They were focusing on the mid earlier, but especially with McNulty, I kind of expected them with the rotation to be able to have an advantage there. But it is going to be Team Sinix ignoring the Shrine for the moment. I think they're just trying to get the level 10, pushing in that bottom lane, but they're giving up a lot of these Shrine minions. It's gonna be almost 40 by the time they get here. They do sacrifice the Uther, but they are gonna get the Punisher off of this. Level 10s are here. Leyline Seal comes out to really be able to slow the rotation and allow them to get in. They get 2 picks, and so this Punisher is not really gonna be that big a deal after those 2 picks come out.
Absolutely, and this is I believe this is by design. They knew 10 was on the horizon. They didn't want to take a fight and lose that fight where ultimately 2+2 is going to be able to come back. You know, that's something that KT and Ragnaros both thrive upon, is that little bit of disadvantage in the positioning and being able to get that advantage back. However, with those 2 picks, as well as a collapse onto Ragnaros, just way too much damage to be able to tolerate. And ultimately, we're going to see a level 11 to 9 advantage for Team Sinix, but not without a fight, as KT is able to aid the rest of 2+2 in blowing up that Medivh.
It's a nice hook there by HotS. But yeah, they definitely caught 2+2 with their pants down on that Shrine. They were trying to invade. Actually, they're doing it again here, but this time they have the level 10. There's a nice portal in to be able to push them off, but they just weren't able to disengage it in time. It even end up going down, but HotS getting very, very low. Pops that Putrid Bile, trying to get him out. Meanwhile, the stuns coming down onto Zul'jin. Unkillable, but not unstoppable. Negating most of that. And the Helping Hand not quite hitting the mark onto Axton either. They are able to turn around and blow up Johanna, and this is turning into a straight-up bloodbath.
Absolutely, a 2-for-1 trade so far, and just so much damage done on the HotS early game that he had to Putrid Bile out. The problem is that Team Sinix wanted to pursue, seeing that his health bar was so low, and they pursued through that entire Putrid Bile. Just so much damage being able to be done through those tight choke points with not only Putrid Bile, but the amount of damage that KT is able to do in the blow-up. It was just way too much to deal with. That Burn Flesh talent at level 7, KT is getting so much value out of it. So
we did see the Shrine popping in the bot lane. both teams have done a nice job of defending structures so far. So it doesn't really matter where the Punishers are going at this point. No real advantage being gained. But we do see McNulty getting caught out here. Tries to pop the Sulfurous Smash to get him out of that situation, but it's not going to be enough. He ends up going down, and Team Sinix getting a very, very nice pick here right before this the Shrine phase really starts to begin here.
Now, Ragnaros will be up pretty quickly, but with this camp being taken as well, they're just buying additional time. This bottom lane is already opened up, and this is an Arcane Punisher. They are just horrible to play against, and with the amount of zoning that can happen from the comp that Team Sinix has, along with the Arcane Beams that circle, it's going to be really difficult for them to do any sort of a defense here. So look for 2+2 to try to get some sort of value elsewhere on the map, maybe even steal the Bruisers up in the top. But ultimately, we're going to see Ragnaros split and try to grab some towers as well, try to get that 13 talent advantage back.
Yeah, and they're going to be praying to RNGesus that this next Punisher spawns in the top. But Verena with a nice rotation up here to go ahead and force McNulty back. Also, they are going to go ahead and leave the Shrine here at 39, rotate up, grab some camps, get some wave clear. It is going to allow the side of 2+2 to pick up 13, but they're also going to have this split pressure pushing in the top and kind of force 2+2 to decide where they want to put most of their defensive forces.
Absolutely. Now, I do want to point out as well, when Valimar had gotten caught out on the bottom shrine previously, he did lose all his Master's touch stack. So he's at 2 at the moment. Look for him to try to group and potentially get some additional stacks as well. He needs to finish that quest to be able to have that damage late game.
And it does look like 2+2 is kind of tired of the side of Team Sinix not grabbing this, so they are going to start to clear it out, if nothing else, just to force Team Sinix to go ahead and grab it. But they're not being baited into this. Team Sinix knows what they want to do. They know they have Medivh that can drop in anytime and grab it, and there it is. Goes ahead and drops in, grabs it, and portals out. Meanwhile, in the top lane, they're helping that Shaman camp push. They've already taken the top fort. They're actually even just pushing in towards the core. I think they're really just going to try to force 2+2 to choose how they want to lose this game.
Absolutely, it's brutal to see this kind of split pushing coming out. It's really a lot of understanding of the map that allows them to do this. They know how to be able to rotate around and give themselves the best positions, and it's gonna result in Ragnaros being split from the group, a 4v5 coming down. A lot of damage from KT though, and Moreno's gonna have to back off. He's got that Drain Hope coming out, but Xander having to pop that unkillable. He's gonna do a ton of damage onto Hollis and have to back away, but no deaths yet.
Yeah, both teams are actually going to be able to walk away with this without any casualties. Valimar going to portal himself out, and the bottom fort actually still pretty healthy. McNulty was able to do a very nice job defending that. They do get that top fort and the top front wall, and a lot closer to 16 here, this Team Sinix. So definitely call that a win on their side, but you know, could have been worse of an outcome for 2+2 for sure.
I think it was the best of a bad situation. Ragnaros is really one of the strongest heroes to be able to defend against the Punisher push with his trait, and so it allows for them to take that 4v5. Now, they got really lucky, 2+2 did, without having Hollis go down, but ultimately, I think that this is kind of their chance to be able to come back in the XP game and try to find a fight where they can take it on even ground and potentially win it, because they need to get some of these structures back. It's only down one structure this late in the game. That's kind of rare, but it's still one structure that they don't have, and so they need to be able to get some of that value back.
So we do have a pause coming out here. Shouldn't be too long. We'll see what's going on with these teams. But yeah, I mean, right now it's definitely looking like it's in Team Sinix's favor. But you know, it's not a foregone conclusion here. I would say that so far 2+2 has had a difficult time really doing what their comp is meant to do, hitting those hooks, getting isolated targets for them to blow up, and you know, and not getting into these situations where they're having these long, drawn-out team fights. That is what Team Sinix wants to do. That's how their comp works best, and so that's what they're going to continue to play here. And I don't know. I think that right now, if 2+2 wants to really be able to take control of this match, they're gonna have to force something against Team Sinix. They're gonna have to force them to play their game a little bit. But it looks like we're going back in here.
Now, I do want to just point out real quick that Silver Touch has been completed for Uther. Mana Addict has been completed for KT, so a lot more survivability overall as a team. And then both quests at 1 and 4 completed for Ragnaros. Johanna still has 3 more globes to be able to get her quest done at 1, and then we're only at 11 stacks on Master's Touch. So a lot of that micromanagement of the quests themselves has been completed on the side of 2+2. So when 16 hits for Team Sinix, they need to take a fight and keep that advantage going, because if they get on an even talent tier at 16s, those quests completed could be the difference between, 1 or 2 trades, 1 or 2 deaths, or a full team wipe.
So right away, Sinix rotating to the bottom. They grab the camp and the fort at the same time. They'll leave the shaman, the Khazars, I should say, to go ahead and clear up that well in the bottom as well. So cleaning up what the Punisher had done earlier. They're going to rotate to the mid and take down this wall here in the mid, so that if the Punisher should spawn here in the mid, they'll have an advantage here as well. Right now, Team Sinix really just pushing that that advantage of that 16 as much as they can. And right on cue, there's the mid Punisher.
As if called upon.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was fated, clearly.
I like what Team Sinix is doing here. They're rotating around, trying to get some sort of a flank. They've opened up the wall. That's exactly what they wanted to do. Now, with 16 on the horizon for 2+2, they need to do something that keeps that in their favor. The Shrine is a good choice. They can gain a lot of value here, gain a lot of those stacks. And Valimar is scouting, so he understands exactly what's going on that team. And, seeing what he can do to poke them away. But with 15 only picked up on the side of Team Sinix, they really need to take this fight. This is going to be what ultimately dictates the end of this game.
Yeah, the problem here is that they don't really have a good force comp. They want to be able to sit back, hook somebody in, and isolate someone. They're not really built for these 5v5 team fights, and you can see it. They get poked down. The sustained healing and just the ability for them to take damage with this double front line is real. The side of 2+2, they have to walk back. They have to, wait until Uther can come up with these big cooldowns and get the heals. They actually are able to get the kill on Leoric to start this off. The Punisher's been picked up. The aggressive portal in here as Team Sinix is ready to force. And they are able to also get that kill on Zul'jin. So they are able to negate a little bit of advantage that'll be gained here from this mid Punisher, as they get a 2-for-nothing team fight exchange for the side of 2+2.
Well, Leoric's going to be back pretty quickly. That's not a big deal. If he goes down, it's not a big deal. Zul'jin going down was difficult because he went down due to the fact that Moreno on Leoric went down. And the only reason that Moreno on Leoric went down was because he had missed his Drain Hope. That's the only reason that he went down. He missed his Drain Hope on HotS. It whiffed, and he wasn't able to get those sustained heals to stay up in the front line. And ultimately, that resulted in him getting blown up. Now, that being said, it didn't turn out as worse or as bad as it could have. And ultimately, I think it's kind of even the way it worked out. They didn't lose a fort in the mid. They did get a couple of kills, so ultimately not too bad. And at this point, they are aggressing, trying to get those offensive bruiser camps. But Valimar has seen this, and he's ready for it.
Yeah, I like the aggressive risk-taking there for Team Sinix. After picking up that Punisher already, they didn't have much to risk. But here they are, rotating to the top. They are going to get that Stitches pick. And looks like they may also end up getting the pick as well onto McNulty, and they will indeed. A 2-for-nothing already.
Just an incredible ley line. That was so clutch by Valimar to be able to ley line everybody and get on the point, get the camp, and set up the rest of his team to engage and get those kills going. And at this point, with that huge wave in the top lane, bruiser camp marching, I think this is going to be top key. Got 30 seconds before Ragnaros is back, and I think that's a little bit too much pressure to deal with at this point.
Yeah, they do have really good wave clear still alive here in the form of Axton, but actually throws down the Q a little bit too far back. But it does have that double flame strike now from the level 16 talent. Is going to be able to get some wave clear here as the camps start to push in. And good anti-siege here coming in from the side of 2+2. They're even going to force the Taz Dingo out there from Xander. But at the end of the day, Valimar able to portal them out. A really nice defense by 2+2. They're going to keep their keep in the top lane.
Yeah, but now this is a reset time. They've got a level and a quarter to 20. So at this point, they don't need to force any fights. They need to do a little bit of a reset here, try to get some of that ground back, get it back up to full health. Taz Dingo is going to be down for an entire minute. That's too far for that shrine to be useful at this point. But at the same point, the amount of damage that he's able to do without the Taz Dingo is incredible. And it's going to show here as they collapse into Axton. He's going to pop the Mana Addict. He's ultimately going to get out, but it's a huge ley line on the front two targets. It can be Masahiro and Retord stuck in the front, but a huge amount of damage going down on the Zaynhide as well. He's going to fall. Valimar is going to shortly fall as well. Masahiro just doing so much damage. Rain of Vengeance going to secure another kill onto the Zul'jin, and now it's just up to Vereno and Caleb Reese to get out. They've lost this fight. They don't need to do anything more. They're going to go clear up camps in the bottom and mid lane.
An incredible response there by 2+2. Axton caught completely out, but the rest of the team dives in, defends him really, really well. The Mana Addict talented one, getting full value there, and they turn that into a 3-for-0 team fight. Taz Dingo, not a factor there, definitely. Well, the fact that it wasn't there, definitely being a huge factor, and that's gonna really turn this match around. They're gonna win the race to 20. They're gonna be able to get this Frozen Punisher marching in the top lane. Nice job here by Masahiro and Redder pushing through this top lane, getting the fort down. So this will be going directly onto this keep front wall. Level 20 is here, and this is the opportunity that 2+2 has been looking for in this series to be able to even this out and take us up to a game 3.
Absolutely. Now, we do have all of the ults available by Team Sinix, and with that top lane already pushed so heavily, or well, not pushed, but the top keep pushed so heavily, it could be game here. If they lose this fight, they are down to talents here at this point, but they have to lose this fight, this could be game. Valimar getting collapsed upon. He's going to barely escape with his life. That portal come in handy. HotS is going to be able to pop that future vial, and it's going to cause Vereno to get collapsed upon and ultimately pass out. Now we have Molten Core being dropped by McNulty, and just a ton of damage being done to the core. Redder and HotS just trying to absorb as much damage as possible. Leyline's going to come out and secure both of them. Masahiro is going to get the vulnerability from the D-Shield. HotS taking a ton of damage, is going to fall. But with the core at 46%, I think this is just going to be a little bit too much. Redder and Axton, the only two left alive aside from McNulty. And I think McNulty is going to be enough. This is going to be game. Game number 2 going over to the side of 2+2.
The current standings leaders here in ESM, 2+2. Go ahead and even out the series 1-1. Take us to a game 3. And we've got ourselves a series, boys. 2+2, taking full advantage of that last team fight in the top of that end of that Punisher. Able to push it all the way to the end and get their win on Infernal Shrines. And yet again, you know, the team that picked the map ends up losing the game. The first pick, first ban, definitely being a factor in this one.
You know, I think I really have to point out the mistake that caused 2+2 to be able to come back into this was in the top lane. They were just about to have a shrine. They had a level advantage on the side of Team Sinix, and they collapsed on Axon. The problem was that there was not enough ability to follow up on Axon because an Entomb with a ley line went out. Had those two been used separately, that Entomb would have been able to get isolation on Redder on the Uther, as well as Stitches. That was HotS. However, because those two were also ley lined inside the Entomb was wasted. The ley line was wasted because they couldn't follow up on anybody because that Entomb was body blocking everybody away from where Axon was, being able to retreat. And ultimately, I believe that is the real big turning point, because had those been a little bit better communicated and Leyline not been burnt so soon, they would have been able to use it in a better way, secure 2 kills, get that shrine, and they would have gamed.
Yeah, definitely. I think also a big factor on it is that the damage scaling for 2+2 is a really big factor there. KT has a really big damage spike at 16. That's when they really started to come on. You know, they got a lot stronger as the match went along, and they were able to end up taking that at the end, even though they had been losing through most of the mid game. So really impressive comeback there by 2+2, evening it out, making this game 3 possible. See who comes out with all 4 of the points today, instead of just walking away with 3 points into the standings going into next week.
Absolutely, and I like this. These are 2 teams that have played so much against each other, and they know so much about each other that it just wouldn't be a series between them if it didn't come to the final game.
And where better to take this game 3 than to Battlefield of Eternity? Definitely gonna see how these teams match up in the team fighting department with these, as the map would suggest, eternal battles in the mid over these immortals, and just in general, we've seen a lot of good priority drafting between these 2 teams. So like you said, they know each other. They know what each other likes to do. So they're good at both, prioritizing what they want to do, as well as denying what the opponent wants to do for their drafting style.
Exactly. Just the theme of this map is enough to justify the theme of this series. Just a constant back and forth. Both teams taking their opponent's map pick and claiming it for themselves, and it's been just an incredible struggle between these teams to really counter what the other's doing, and that shows in their playtime that they've had so much time to practice against each other. So ultimately, this is going to be just kind of the final showdown. What's going to happen here it dictates the entire outcome of this entire day. You know, it can either be just an outstanding victory for either team or an utter defeat. I do have to say, I think 2+2 has had a bigger showing here today, having not dropped a map aside from the very first one in this series, and that's a lot of momentum riding into this final game of the day.
Yeah, especially we're gonna see a test here of the fortitude for Team Sinix, because it can be a little bit demoralizing leading in so long in one of those games like they did there on Infernal Shrines, and then having the other team come on in the late game, win one team fight, and then just be able to push through. You know, when you were so sure you were dominating through a lot of that game, we'll have to see how they react to that going into this game 3, if that ends up being deflating for them, or if they're able to just come back, remotivate themselves, and end up winning this game 3 and taking the day.
Absolutely. We said it was going to be the war of attrition, and it really is. The mental fortitude for these teams, having played most of the day, and to come into that last match and put on such a show for us, it's only going to get better from here. This map really lends itself to big plays, allowing for certain star players of these teams to really shine, and we'll get to see ultimately just kind of who has that little stronger mental fortitude.
All right, and it looks like we are ready for game number 3. These guys are going to be taking us into the draft any second now. I know it. Okay, I guess if you want to be my friend, I guess I'll accept. That's good.
Hey, I'm really good at making friends, all right? I'm really good at it. You could use this as an example. I added you as a friend. You said yes. I didn't have to say a word.
Not even a single word. And here we go. Game number 3. 2+2. Team Sinix. All the marbles on the line. Every last one of those marbles on the line in this one. All of the Mountain Dew and Scratchits that we have. All 0 of them on the line in this one. Rory, the bringer of death. Yes, that's probably it. I really should get a picture for Rory if we're going to have him up here, but it's kind of a late addition today, so figured we'd just go with the good old black screen for him. I didn't think he would mind.
You don't know. It could be black. It could be accurate. We don't know.
I don't know.
I might be too beautiful.
Well, I mean, it's not very hard to be the most beautiful thing on the screen when I'm sitting over there, but that's all right. So we have right away the Stitches ban out. That's not a big shocker. Team Sinix saying no thank you to that one after our game 2.
That's just the respect here.
And no Lunara coming out from 2+2.
Again, just the respect. They don't want to play against it.
They know, yeah, they may not know art, but they know what they don't like, and I don't know. I've been there. You know, we have RK Red and RK Black for our 2 teams that our 2 sister teams for Chair League, and we ended up facing each other in the first week of Chair League this season, after having scrimmed each other a dozen times. And yeah, our strategy was just to ban out Ariel every match because they played it better than us. No other reason. So that's just the kind of thing that you see when you got these teams that know each other so well. It's very common for them just to ban out the comfort pick and just screw the meta. Just ban out what you don't want to play against. Speaking of Ariel, here comes the Ariel Vala coming out from 2+2. The Tassadar pickup over on the side of Team Sinix, making me think that they're going to want to well, there we go. We got the Rory picture in here. I know what I'm doing while we're doing this draft. Thinking long and hard about this one is Team Sinix. They've already kind of gone down the way of that hyper carry. Lunara and Vala both off the table, so they're instead going to go to the Greymane. Not a big shocker here. I think Greymane really solid on this map. He's got a lot of good immortal damage, but he does need to be supported when he dives. A pretty good counter to Vala as well. The side of 2+2 is going to have to draft something to be able to peel that Greymane off when he decides to Dark Flight on in and try and blow her up here.
And Nubarag enabling Greymane is not something that 2+2 wants to deal with. So I'm supportive of this particular ban.
Yeah, Nubarag, very highly contested in a lot of HGC thus far, as well as a lot of these smaller tournaments. I mean, he's been a very huge factor in a lot of different games. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all to see Nubarag being highly prioritized here. Johanna, on the other hand, is something that you don't see prioritized every day as a pick or ban. So we're going to see the Johanna banned out here. Denying one of the best peelers available to take Greymane off of the Vala.
Indeed. Now, I actually do like the Johanna. Now, Team Sinix is the only team that's played Johanna today. So we have gotten to see her in a few different lights, and they've won most of the games that they've played with Johanna being the main frontliner. However, they understand her strength, and their strength is not something they want to play against. So they're going to ban it, and it's going to be countered by a Varian and Tyrande pick. So wanting to get that immediate burst damage onto the Immortal. I would imagine that Tyrande is going to go with that Flare build as well, trying to isolate targets and get as much blow up on particular targets as possible. And probably a taunt for Varian as well, just trying to combo off of that initial stun as well.
Yeah, something we saw Fnatic, our overlords, do earlier on this map was break out the Tyrande, much to the delight of Gillyweed, might I add. But definitely good for the focus. You know, it's going to be the taunt, it's going to be the focus damage, quite possibly the Rain of Vengeance to follow it up from the Vala. Even Detainment Strike with so much stuff to collide people into in the middle of Battlefield of Eternity here. So lots of CC on the side of 2+2. You know, good counters to everybody that Team Sinix has so far. So we'll have to see what they want to follow it up with. Looks like they're going to be maybe going for the Tyrael Sanctification here. Another good disruption could be either Sunder or Earthquake. Either one can be a powerful tool for that. So they stack up the front line, and they're going to try and just burst their way through that CC, still get to the Vala, the Tyrande, the squishies in the back, and try and make these team fights happen as quick as possible before this double support can either get this done or burn down the Immortals, which 2+2 is definitely winning that race at this point as well.
You know, I like this Tyrael Thrall choice. Thrall is one of Team Sinix's biggest dark horse heroes. They have somebody on the team. I'm not going to say who because I want it to be a surprise for everybody, but somebody who is just an incredible Thrall player. And with the additive of Tyrael being able to enable not only Thrall but Greymane as well, which is one of the biggest combos in this game, it's basically like Team Sinix has 3 frontliners and 2.5 supports, but with a huge amount of damage that can go down as well. So I would imagine that this is going to be, an Arthas pick. That they needed a frontliner that can disable Greymane and Thrall, and Arthas is really the only one that can. And so I'm not surprised to see that particular pick, but at the same point, I'm curious to see if it's enough. Tyrande's not really a healer. She has some heals, but she's not really a healer. So we're really relying on Ariel being in a good position and just the chain combo of CCs to pull out some sort of a victory here for 2+2. See if they can get that reverse sweep.
Yeah, I see Tyrande as more of a hyper carry than than a support at this point. I feel like she's all about getting the extra CC and the extra damage, and there's just a little bit of healing that comes along with her. Kind of like the same thing I see with Tyrael. He gives it a little bit of shielding, but that's not why you pick Tyrael. It's got nothing to do with why you pick Tyrael. It's just a small advantage gained from having him. But we are loading in here for game number 3 of our finals match here for the ESM tournament number 3. On their left, in the blue trunks, it is 2+2. McNulty going to be playing the Arthas. Axon is going to be on the Vala. Redder is going to be on the Ariel. Masahiro is going to be on the Tyrande. And Hollis is going to be playing the Variant.
And in the red trunks, we have Team Sinix for the final time today, and that's going to be Stukov, handled by Caleb Reese once again. Zane Hyde taking the main tank role on Tyrael. Tassadar being played by Xander. Vereno, the Thrall extraordinaire. And then Greymane being handled by Valimar.
Right away, we're going to see the standard 1-4 coming out from both of these teams. No cheese today in our game 3. It's going to be Arthas versus Tassadar in the solo lanes on top. I'm a little surprised. You know, Tassadar, a pretty good solo laner, but let's say the legendary solo laner over on the side of Team Sinix would normally be Thrall. But I suppose he's lost a little bit of what used to make him a good solo laner with his rework. So he's going to at least be able to stack up some of these quest talents here in the 4-man.
Absolutely. Now, I like this Tyrande pick because she is going to be going Lunar Blaze at 1, which is going to ultimately do just a ton of damage when she's able to get those stacks up and really allow her to help get that chain CC. Now, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Tyrande, in her initial burst at level 1, does almost 900 damage. That's going to be Owl, Flare, and 3 auto attacks. It's a 3-second burst, and in that burst, with the Hunter's Mark, it's almost 900 damage. That's a ton of damage to be able to throw down just from one hero. But if you're able to follow that up, it becomes so much more difficult to deal with.
Yeah, huge amounts of burst damage going with this CC comp. Definitely going to be something that 2+2 is looking to exploit. Not to mention the fact that I just think that their race potential is really solid. Not to say that Team Sinix doesn't also have good race potential. I think the Tyrael, the Greymane, and the Thrall bring really, really solid race potential to it. We'll have to see. You know, the Vala Hungering Arrow build, really, really hard to beat that race potential. Tyrande with that Hunter's Mark going to be able to help them deal a ton of damage to the Immortal. I think it's close enough that it's mostly going to be determined by, you know, rotational advantages, as well as, you know, who can win in these team fights.
Absolutely. Now, a few a little out of the ordinary talent picks for Thrall and Greymane. Thrall actually going for Wolfheart at level 1, so wanting to get that cooldown reduction on basic attacks while in Inner Beast, and or from the basic attacks during Inner Beast. So wanting to make sure that he's able to get as much harassment onto the Immortals as possible, and a little bit of a swap for Thrall as well, going Crash Lightning, so wanting to prioritize getting a lot of poke damage out with that Chain Lightning. I would imagine that we're also going to see the Feral Spirit quest coming out at level 4. So definitely a really solid combination. Just trying to prioritize getting a lot of damage out, not only to maybe if they're defending, but also if they're attacking and they have forced 2+2 to defend, they're able to get a lot of damage underneath the Immortal as well.
Yeah, I also like the level 1 coming in from Ariel, the Righteous Assault. Raider probably expecting to see some fights over these Immortals. Going to be looking to get the cooldown reduction for hitting heroes in the middle of that Sacred Sweep, which could also give them a little bit of extra damage if they are on the offensive and the side of Team Sinix ends up defending. So a couple of the non-standard picks for sure, but most of them tailor-made to give a little bit more advantage on this map.
Absolutely. Now, we do see Monster Hunter coming out for Vala, which means she's going to go full Hungering Arrow, which, as said, ton of damage onto the Immortals. So they want to hit that halftime as quickly as possible. They want to be able to prioritize getting as much harassment out as possible before Team Sinix is able to respond. So I think this is really going to come down to how they apply pressure outside of the team fights, outside of the Immortal phases, to dictate whether or not 2+2 makes a mistake. They have to force 2+2 to make a decision between the lesser of two evils, and at that point, they will win the fight. At that point, they will be able to collapse and get a couple of picks and win the Immortals.
Yeah, and you talk about the arrow build coming out from Vala being really, really good for the Immortal damage, but it's also incredible amounts of bursts if it's played right, especially if you can find one target that's isolated. And it's all support. It's all sustained support for the side of Team Sinix, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that being a factor, if Accent can indeed hit a couple of those Qs onto somebody and pair it with all the rest of the damage, especially if that's paired with the stun and the Tyrande Hunter's Mark, they can really blow up somebody in a hurry.
Absolutely. And not to mention the fact that because it's such a huge amount of damage, with going like the vault cooldown reduction or the vault reset on the Hungering Arrow, you're able to get 2 full bars of hope for Ariel in a matter of like 3 seconds. And so it's a really good engage tool to be able to make sure that your entire team's topped off, especially if you're going to be pursuing after an initial engagement where Team Sinix has to back off.
These teams trying to entertain each other and themselves, I imagine, as we've got this pause going. Should be back anytime now. All about the Batman. There we go. We got Rory's picture up on the stream. Well, the delay withstanding. You guys will, everyone will see it in a moment. But
oh, so much fun!
Yay!
I am taking personal assistant applications. Just go ahead and submit them in the Discord in the description.
There you go. That's how you do it right there.
Always plug.
Always. All right, it looks like we got it. We are back into here. Maybe.
Just maybe.
There we go. We got it. Immortal phase. That bell going to be tolling any second now. We're going to see these teams start to rotate.
Now, we did see also Purge Evil, that smite damage increase, 30% more damage to heroes with smite from Tyrael on Zainhide. Now, that's a lot of harassment as well up in the front line. So I could see him trying to prioritize getting some poke before Greymane and Thrall come in.
RNGesus here definitely favoring the side of 2+2 as the offensive mortal spawning here in the bottom. So they're going to be able to rotate to it a little quicker. Zainhide getting in trouble here. Going to go down to that Lunar Flare. That's going to be first blood going over to the side of 2+2, but in the top we see Valmar doing a nice job of chunking down that Immortal, really using that level 1 talent to its full potential here, as it's going to be really even. But without the Tyrael, both these teams are going to dive in. It's going to be a full-on race, and it looks like oh man, it's going to be so close.
Team Sinix on top. They're going to beat it by about 900 HP, and that's going to be a very small shield. So a small victory, but definitely more so a defensive one, because the amount of burst on the side of 2+2 is horrible to deal any sort of damage to. And so this is a good early game victory. They want to get a lot of XP out of this.
2+2 pushing in here, and is going to be an opportunity for them to get this front wall, but as you said, with the shield, it's probably without too much of a shield, it's probably not going to get very much. But double stun coming in here from the Tyrande. They have to be careful here as they push out. A few members of 2+2 starting to have their health bars chipped away at, but they do have that CC combo to try to chain. But it looks like mostly what they're trying to do here is just get a little bit of poke damage, start to stack up that quest a little bit for Masahiro. They get the front wall, but they're not going to get too overly greedy. 2+2 steps back, and so far, things still pretty even. Just a slight XP lead, but both of these teams still definitely right around the same page.
Absolutely, and I think they really needed to have Tyrael there on the point with them to be able to secure that Immortal. That was just having a man down, not quite enough ability to get in there and do a lot, and ultimately it kind of came back to bite them. Not a lot of damage done. You got the wall down, got about half the fort down, but it's going to be added pressure in the bottom lane with these bruisers picked up that they're going to need to really respond to, and that's what Verano's here for in the bottom lane. He's there to just make sure that fort doesn't fall, because they want to be able to dictate where that Immortal goes should they lose it.
And meanwhile, rotation here onto the top as Xander's going to end up going down. McNulty able to bait him back far enough that Tyrande rotating, I don't know if that was really necessary, but definitely ensured the kill, if not securing it. But we do see the rotation back here from Masahiro. Gonna get the stun out on Greymane. Still stacking that up slowly but surely here.
Yeah, we're at 7 stacks so far, and that's only going to increase as the fights become more clumped up in these tight choke points. Actually, I do like the rotation from Tyrande because that is a fight that HotS loses most of the time. It's already allowed Tassadar to be at 43 stacks of Templar's Will, so I mean that's a large amount of stacks this early in the game, only 5 minutes in, and so really HotS needs to have that help to be able to get it. And already the Immortals coming back up, and a lot of damage being done aggressively by Team Sinix.
Yes, where last time 2+2 had the rotational advantage of the Immortal spawning in the bot, this time Team Sinix gets that same advantage. But the response from 2+2, they rotate in, they're going to push them off of this Immortal initially, but the turn is real. McNulty taking a ton of damage here. Lunar Flare not quite hitting the mark, and the health bar is looking way better for Team Sinix right now. They are able to take down the Arthas, the Detainment Strike to try to zone, but Redder is going to end up falling here. And Team Sinix going to be able to turn around and push it to halftime.
Absolutely, and that's the weakness that Varian has pre-10, is he's not going to have that tankiness of a normal traditional warrior, and so they really have to play this comp like they only have one warrior pre-10. And unfortunately, Arthas is not the best solo warrior. He doesn't have as much survivability pre-10 as well, so ultimately they're able to harass and bully, having that strength of the Greymane and the Thrall up in the front, and that extra damage from the Tyrael, and it's going to be just a massive shield on this Immortal going into this this next portion of the fight.
Yeah, level 10 still a little ways out here for both of these teams. Team Sinix definitely winning the race there. They're also going to get the front wall here of the keep for free, actually dedicating 5 members here. So it looks like they are waiting for that to come out. 2-man Lunar Flare there coming out from Masahiro. Zone him out a little bit, but again, the sustain is strong for the side of Team Sinix as they try to push into this fort.
Absolutely, and Zane going in, he's going to help secure the kill onto Tyrande. Thrall just doing a massive amount of damage, and a follow-up onto Redder, and that's the Ariel. Just way too much to deal with, not enough sustained healing, and just a little bit of a collapse in the front line there. Again, Arthas is really the only tank up until 10 when Varian gets his taunt. And with him up in the top lane, trying to get some of that soak back, 10's being hit on the side of Team Sinix. This is going to be the keep wall for sure. Possibly even a little bit of damage to the keep.
So we are going to see the Sunder coming out along with that Sanctification. And Sanctification gets popped. They are able to collapse onto Tyrande. The Sunder also being a huge factor there. And as the Immortal falls, so does the bottom keep for the side of 2+2. And already an 8-minute keep here for the side of Team Sinix. They're going to start spawning those catapults. And this is going to be a long road back if 2+2 wants to win this one.
Yep, they are going to secure a retreat kill on the Tyrael. It's a minor victory. They've hit the 10s. That kill in particular is not really going to net them all that much. They were already down 1, and this is really what's gonna get them a little bit more wiggle room here. Is the invade on these siege giants, or sorry, the siege Khazra, I think they're called, on the bottom is going to allow them. Yep. Yeah, there you go. So that's going to allow them to really help push this lane back out. With sieges already, or sorry, catapults already marching down that lane. It's going to be hard for them. That's going to demand their constant attention this early in the game. That's not somewhere you want to be. It looks like they're going to try to make that up with this bottom fort.
Yeah, at this point, they are the ones rolling around as 5, trying to get that advantage. But we do see the 4-man rotation to the top here for Team Sinix. They've got their camp, maybe a little bit of an early Shaman camp, but it is going to at least aid them in the push. But we do have the full 5-man rotation coming up here from the side of 2+2. So they're going to be looking to see if they can catch somebody out. The Force Wall is going to zone. They get the stun out onto Stukov. The taunt along with the Rain of Vengeance also to follow it up, but the swipe going to zone, but not going to be able to zone away those hungering arrows there from Axon as he goes down. But Tassadar Also falling here, and 1 for 2 exchange so far. Greymane gets completely blown up there by Axon and McNulty, and this is a really big moment for 2+2. They are getting they're getting really solid trades here. However, they're still going to have to answer to that push in the top lane, the Shaman camp, and Vereno not quite done with these guys yet.
It was so scrappy. That was a 2 for 3, but it was just, or a 2 for 4, but it was so scrappy. And in the meantime, those giants, or those fucking Bruiser camp just pushed so far that it was able to drain that front keep wall up on the top lane as well. And if they get this Immortal on the side of Team Sinix, that is going to be that keep wall in serious danger, or the keep in serious danger. And I mean, it's definitely a good halftime. Both teams fairly even, a little bit in favor of Team Sinix though.
Yeah, a few thousand, but they are going to force the team fight. That is what it's going to come down to. Hull is so low. Why wouldn't you take this fight if you're Team Sinix? The wall! You shall not pass! Coming in there from Xander. And a lot of damage coming down onto 2+2. They're going to end up backing off here and just getting onto the Immortal as Vereno getting kind of low. But this is the kind of healer you want. You want a healer like Stukov that's going to be able to bring you up, but the taunt comes out onto oh, the Aegis. Raider actually still gets hit by that explosion, but it's not quite enough to take him down here. Nice turn here by 2+2.
Health pools are low enough on the side of 2+2 that they could get net a couple of kills here, but it looks like retreat is on the mind of Team Sinix. They don't need to take this fight. They need to get everybody back online and get ready to go. And this is going to be another Immortal, or yeah, the second Immortal for 2+2. And looks like this one's heading to the top lane. But look at the core. 3 catapults on the core already. Axon has to go back to be able to clear this up.
Yeah, both lanes needing to be cleared here. They're not going to take any permanent core damage from this one. The shields will hold for now, but it does mean that they're not going to be able to put their full attention on clearing up and pushing with this Immortal. So at this point, it's a full collapse coming in from Team Sinix. They go after the Tyrande, but she's able to march her way on out of there. Nice speed boost, and now they're going to be able to turn around and try and help this Immortal a little bit, but it's a little too late. Already half health. This thing's going down.
The Sanctification being popped, as well as that Flailing Arm's going to allow them to be able to back off. This Immortal's so low, but Varian going in, he's getting a little bit of damage down onto Caleb, but ultimately everybody's going to be able to back away, and not really too much done here beyond that fort. So almost even now in structures, minus the keep. Huge Howling Blast going down onto 4 members of Team Sinix, and another follow-up stun is going to just be too much damage. They're going to have to back off and let this Bruiser camp go by the wayside.
Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we do have another group of minions starting to stack up. There's going to constantly be something nagging at 2+2, but it also is going to allow them to maintain a pretty steady source of minions to grab if they do go back to clear this often enough. They are winning the race to level 16, so they are going to be able to soak up a little bit of that. Meanwhile, with this bottom constantly pushing with these catapults, I mean, Team Sinix is just not really going to be able to find much soak there.
Absolutely. It looks like 16 is going to be picked up perhaps a little earlier than Team Sinix for 2+2. A great Lurking Arm going down, silencing McNulty, but it's also going to cause a collapse on the Tyrael. A huge explosion as well by the Greymane, and the Tyrael is going to net the kill onto Arthas. So a 1-for-1 trade, but the health bars on Team Sinix are a little bit too low to continue. That permanent health or mana pool on Ariel from the Vala is just a little bit too much, and they got to back off.
Yeah, a good exchange here for the side of 2+2. They are able to secure the camp. They will be able to rotate back and grab this camp. So it's something that Team Sinix is going to have to answer to in the bot, and a very favorable spawn here for 2+2. They are able to rotate directly onto this. They'll be able to push it to halftime, and Team Sinix going to be struggling to get level 16 in time to be able to contest this for the second half of the Immortal phase.
Absolutely. This is time to reset. They need to get 16s. They need to be able to go into the next fight having an even talent here. They need to be able to go into this fight on somewhat even footing. So it looks like they're just going to be content with burning down as much of the shield as possible. They know they're going to lose this Immortal, but they can defend against it. They have 16s now, so once they have all their talents picked, this is going to be an ability to really fight. This Material hits a huge ability spike as well with Holy Ground. Being able to section off along with that force wall is just massive, and it's such a difficult thing to counter against when you are Auriel as a healer.
And Zane Hyde being focused down, but the return damage from that Sunder onto McNulty, they are able to heal him up, however. They have split Tyrael completely off from this. Meanwhile, the Immortal has started marching in here onto the bottom lane. A couple catapults in the bottom, but that's something that the core should be able to handle without taking too much pressure with minions spawning. They are focused
right back
completely on the keep right now.
The health bars on Team Sinix are a little bit higher. Having that well there was a huge benefit, and they're going to look to turn this fight around. They don't want to lose this keep. That's too much pressure in the bottom lane that they're not going to be able to receive anymore at this point. A lot of damage done onto Xander as well. A good taunt going down onto Caleb Reese, but a good return amount of damage done as well to the Varian. Another big collapse.
Aegis coming down to save Axon. Yeah, but like you said, the sustained healing on both of these sides, just too strong. They are able to get the keep in bottom. That will eventually be able to even out this this pressure in the bottom lane. But there's a huge wave in the top that's going to get a little bit of damage onto this front wall. And both teams are able to back out, now having 16. A little more even footing moving forward here for both of these squads.
Absolutely, and I do want to point out that Thrall picked up Alpha Wolf, so that's percentage-based damage going to be going down onto Variant and Arthas, who has been stuck in Thrall's roots most of the game. This is a huge pickup, and a huge Holy Ground going out on the Hollis is going to net them another kill. This is exactly what they wanted. They need to make up an entire level's worth of experience and get back into this game experience-wise in order to be able to win this game. And ultimately, this is what they need. 45 seconds before Varian's up, they can push the keep wall.
Yeah, Varian stepping out too far there. Huge misplay without the team there to be able to support him and all the zoning tools. For the side of Team Sinix, they are going to push in. They are getting this keep front wall. They may be looking for more as they start to push in. And the 4 members are here for the defense. The stun combo coming down onto Zainhide, but he ports in behind. Is gonna hit that sanctification, but they are turning around onto Valimar. They do end up getting the Tyrael kill, and the health bar is still high enough for the side of 2+2 that they're gonna push in further. It's a long way home to safety for Team Sinix, and only 3 of them are gonna be able to make it out. Masahiro even still a little bit on the chase. A huge turn there in that 4v5 for 2+2.
Absolutely, and that's the power of Tyrande, that she just does so much burst on that lunar flare, and the power of the Hunter's Mark. It's just a little bit too much to deal with, and it really allows for a good isolation of specific targets. And then the follow-up from Auriel is again displayed here with the whip and then the taunt from Hollis, and it's going to cause a Thrall to just be deleted from the server.
Yeah, there was a slight error there where Thrall did exist in the Nexus, but that has been corrected. He was deleted from the server, so.
A lot of lane pressure, though, for the side of Team Sinix, so they need to use this time, get that experience back. The top keep will probably go down, but they have their win condition in the bot lane. They need a win. They need some sort of a team fight win where they kill Tyrande, where they kill Varian, and then they're able to isolate targets once again and get in on that core. That is their win condition.
2+2 going to go ahead and collapse and finish off that Immortal, but as you said, there's a pretty large buildup in both of these lanes where they're not going to be able to push directly in with this Immortal once again. So the side of Team Sinix are going to have the opportunity to clear this up. However, about half a level to level 20.
Is this a backdoor?
Now
I think this could be a backdoor. This is game for them. If they don't win this before 20, or at least bait them back, I think this is a bait.
Yep, 100% a bait. I think they may or may not have gone into it had they seen Team Sinix be a little bit more aggressive. But they do definitely bait it. And Zaynide is not going to get out of here. The risky B there is not going to end up paying off. He's going to have to go around the long way. And all of a sudden, this Immortal is getting some serious value, chunking down this top keep. But the turn onto Tyrande is good. And they take her down. Wow.
Not a good spot to stand in. And that huge Sunder allowing for the rest of Team Sinix to isolate targets. HotS is at half health. He needs to back off. Their battery is in full retreat mode. Not a lot of healing left in Ariel's tank. And Zaynide's up in the front bullying. A good taunt onto him, and he's going to fall. That's going to be a huge explosion, though. HotS needs to be prepared. McNulty's going to take the brunt of it. And it looks like both teams are content just kind of letting the fight go. Both keeps down, though, for Team Sinix. This is not where they want to be. Tyrael, their only frontliner, down. And unfortunately, that's one of Tyrael's weaknesses. He's not quite as survivable as some of these other tanks.
Yeah, you can get some value from his death. However, you have a very small window to be able to turn the team fight after that before it really just becomes all your squishy heroes completely exposed. And right now, level 20 here, not wanting to take the 4v4, a smart decision there from Team Sinix, but everything's going to start bearing down on them now with no keep. They need to pick up the level 20. They're going to have to make something happen here. They cannot continue to go for even exchange or just, you know, even trades at this point. They're going to have to start forcing the issue if they want to win this one. Absolutely.
They need to take a fight that they are able to win. With both teams back online, this is really where the tides can turn. This is going to be... Zane needs to be able to get in a really smart position, be able to survive long enough with that sanctification to allow for Thrall and Greymane to take down a target. He needs to just enable his team and then get out. If he can do that, they can get a pick and then turn it into a 5v4 without him dying. They can turn this into a win. Now, this is the first time in about 10 minutes that we've seen both teams available and ready for an Immortal spawning. And with both teams clearing up the lanes, catapults pushing in every lane, this is do or die for both teams. 20s have been hit and are online for both teams, and so this really is game. It really comes down to this. But
playing this whole tournament just to come down to this one moment here on Battlefield of Eternity. And you see the north-south spawn here for these Immortals. So they're going to be able to poke this out, but the stall tactic game here definitely favors 2+2. They've got the camp pushing in bot. They've got both these keeps down. And so we see the Team Sinix, they need to force here. They need to be able to come in here and make something happen. Otherwise, they're just going to have to retreat and clear, and it looks like that may be the decision they're favoring at this point.
Look for during this defense, because this is going to be halftime for the Immortal. Look for this defense, sanctification. It's going to be exactly what turns this fight. With Holy Arena, that's 25% additional damage that all your allies do under sanctification. This is what they want. But it's a little bit of a premature pop, not really much value. Nothing happening there. Zane is needing to retreat, and it looks like he's going to fall.
Oh, just barely making it out there with the Eldritch Ruins. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's halftime over there, and Sanctification and Flameling Swipe are both down here. Army has also been popped on the other side as well, but here they come. They are going to push in. They know that their core is down. They've got to push the issue here. The Sunder splitting up everyone. Ariel also getting stunned by the Immortal, and they are going to be going after this. The Immortal slowly starting to fall here, and definite camp pressure onto the core, but Tyrande falls. And Vala falls.
They need one person to go back and defend. But if 2+2 can stall them long enough, this is game. Thrall's going back to defend. If he can do this, this is game. Team Sinix can take it.
They are going to go ahead and take the 3v4 here, trying to get the Immortal down, but HotS is going to end up getting stunned, walks into the wall there, and is...
If HotS dies, this staggered death could be the end of them.
McNulty also getting caught out, but the tanks able to stay alive long enough to be able to back out and keep things rolling here. Meanwhile, the core took a brunt of damage back there. However, we do see the collapse onto the Immortal. It does look like Team Sinix is going to go ahead and pick up the Immortal at this point, but they still got to worry about the core here. They're going to have to clear a little bit more. It's going to go into the top lane here, and this may end up being a race to the finish. We'll have to see how 2+2 wants to play this. If they want to try to defend, it looks like they're actually going to start heading towards the bot for a backdoor of their own.
This is a backdoor, absolutely. 46% on the core. They got plenty of damage dealing. They don't have to defend here. They've got to keep to be able to defend for them. That's plenty of time. All they need is time, and Team Sinix knows this. They're going to go back and they're going to defend.
And they are here, the full 5v5. The Sanctification comes down a little bit out. And right away, Axon trying to kite. They are able to take him down. The shield's going down. Tassadar trying to shield the core to keep it alive. The Aegis is going to fall, and it's going to be really close. The shield comes down, and Varian
is Arthas enough?
Up.
Oh, Varian
gets it down.
What a clutch play.
Wow, 2+2, taking it at the last second. Only one member left. And what a series by these two teams. My goodness.
Of course it would come down to that. Between these two teams, it would come down to that final moment.
Wow, what an incredible match from these two teams. And just like you said, you know, showing that these teams know each other pretty well. They're very evenly matched. You know, they both played it correctly, but at the end of the day, just so close there. Just barely able to edge it out here is 2+2 as they are able to retain their spot at the top of the standings here for ESM, winning 2 tournaments in a row now. But Team Sinix, we definitely got some new boys in town that are going to be able to give them a run for their money moving forward.
Absolutely, it's a team that's coming up out of a previous stint under the same name, and a lot of experience within the roster. And I mean, it shows with a team like 2+2 that's been around for a while. They brought it to just, I mean, had Varian not gotten one more auto attack there, they would have won that game. It came down to that close. And I think had they backed just a few seconds earlier and gotten in position a few seconds earlier, it would have been a very, very different story. But it was an amazing series between both teams, both of them showing just a huge amount of promise and a huge amount of just raw skill and talent that I couldn't expect anything better out of this particular series.
Yeah, absolutely epic finish to an excellent day of Heroes of the Storm. You know, a full tournament this morning, coming out with Europe, of course, exerting their dominance once again. And what a pleasure to be able to run this tournament for you guys once again. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I hope you guys had a great time. We're going to continue to do this every Sunday morning or afternoon, as it really is. 11 a.m. registration, noon start time every Sunday for the foreseeable future. I'd love to get more teams in here, but definitely a lot of fun with what we've had the last few weeks. Rory, thank you for joining me, man. It was a pleasure co-casting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations once again to 2+2, taking the big win today, and they're going to walk away with all those sweet points as we head towards the end of August, where we will be awarding the points that we have, the prizes that we will have available. I'll have to see what our wonderful sponsors over at Reborn Knights is going to be able to bring in for us for those prizes. We're definitely going to be putting together another one of our extra special highlight reels this week for this, but you'll also be able to find all of the VODs within the hour. You'll be able to find the VODs on our YouTube channel if you guys want to review the matches. Of course, they're always also on the stored videos here on here on Twitch, but a little easier to navigate them on the YouTube page. Link is down below. And that's pretty much going to do it for me, guys. Thank you very much all for coming out. I'm going to be streaming a little bit later today as well. I'm going to go ahead and grab some lunch. This was a long day and an awesome tournament, so I'm going to grab something to eat. I'll come back. I'll be streaming HotS for a little while this evening. And see you guys next week for more easy Sunday morning HotS.